My goal is just make you laugh and put a smile on your face so that you go to sleep with a smile on your face and live a longer life. Isn't that the whole goal?
As the popular host of The Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon has become one of the biggest names in talk show history, interviewing the likes of celebrities from all over the globe. But sometimes even Jimmy finds himself on the opposite end of the laughter. Stick around because today you'll see exactly what I mean as I talk you through some instances where celebrities insulted Jimmy Fallon on his own show. But first, a simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's all your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. First, we start with Emma Watson. Now, I know what you're thinking. Surely he can't be referring to Hermione Granger. She wouldn't even hurt a fly. But yes, that is the very same Emma Watson we'll be talking about here today. You're not wrong though, as this insult was purely accidental. Just before her first appearance on The Tonight Show, Emma informed Jimmy that she was a huge fan of his, and especially loved the one segment of the show where he asked parents to convince their children they'd eaten all their Halloween candy, capturing their reactions on video and sharing it with the viewers. What could be so insulting about loving the show you're on? Well, nothing at all, it would seem. Unfortunately for Emma, however, she had mistakenly mixed her Jimmys up, as the segment she mentioned was actually a segment from Jimmy Kimmel. Apparently, this remark of hers was met with silence, followed by confusion. When Jimmy realized she was actually referring to Kimmel, he corrected her, causing Emma to turn bright red in embarrassment. She apologized for her mistake and told Fallon that she was a fan of his too. As humiliating as it is for any talk show host to be reminded that a guest prefers another, Jimmy and Emma were good enough to share this moment with the Globe, laughing the insult off as if nothing had ever happened. I'm sure Kimmel got quite the rise out of that mistaken insult. Next up, we have Alan Rickman. I'm starting to think that Hogwarts has something against Jimmy, as next on the list we have the late and great Professor Snape, portrayed as always by Alan Rickman. Before we get started, it's important to know that Jimmy Fallon absolutely loves to imitate celebrities. In fact, it's actually how he got famous as a comedian. And believe me, you haven't lived until you've heard Fallon imitate the somber voice of Alan Rickman. Not only did he once sing a song as Rickman, he also convinced Benedict Cumberbatch, who too has quite a good Alan Rickman impression, to enter into a Rickman-off with him, where the two competed to find out who had the best Alan Rickman impression. I think we all see where this is going, right? Never shying away from some awkward banter, Rickman appeared on The Tonight Show and confronted Fallon about this little stunt he had pulled. Unbeknownst to Jimmy, he had some punishment in mind for the enthusiastic host. First, Fallon was asked to apologize for his behavior, which he promptly did. The fun then resumed as Rickman pulled out 2 helium balloons, mentioning that since Jimmy liked changing his voice so much, he believes the balloons would be quite helpful. The rest of the interview was conducted and answered while both Fallon and Rickman inhaled helium and spoke in what can only be described as hilariously high-pitched voices. Fallon should have expected an embarrassing interview considering everything. I mean, what more do you expect from the most famous potions teacher Hogwarts has ever seen? Nicole Kidman and her awkward apartment visit is next. We've all had awkward meetings in the past, right? You know what's more embarrassing than being reminded of such a meeting? Well, being reminded on international television with the world watching, of course. This is precisely what happened to poor Jimmy when Nicole Kidman appeared on The Tonight Show. As it turns out, Nicole and Jimmy shared a mutual friend who she had convinced to organize a get-together with Jimmy. She apparently had quite the crush on the host and wanted an excuse to hang out. According to Nicole, the way he handled the situation was embarrassing at best. All she really remembers is him answering the door in a baseball cap and barely saying a word to her. He then turned on a video game and started playing, not giving her any attention at all. After spending about an hour and a half at his apartment, she got frustrated that there was no connection between the two and left. Funny thing is that Jimmy didn't know any of this. He couldn't believe his eyes when Nicole mentioned she had a crush on him, as he believed she was just tagging along with their mutual friend out of respect. The cherry on top of the awkward story is summed up perfectly when Nicole looks out to the audience after describing how he had ignored her, saying she remembers thinking to herself, maybe he's gay? Jimmy laid down on the guest couch in utter embarrassment while Nicole sat in the host's seat until his face returned to its usual color. Not much can make Jimmy recoil in embarrassment, but Nicole bringing up this blast from the past definitely did the trick and made us all see Jimmy in a different way. Next is the one and only John Oliver. Another late-night talk show host that doesn't seem to have any love for Jimmy Fallon is John Oliver, the host of the hard-hitting Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. Oliver's reaction could be attributed to the very beginning of the interview, which honestly started out pretty awkwardly. Where Fallon is usually over the top and excited to speak to his guests, he appeared disinterested in asking Oliver questions, giving off the general vibe that he didn't want to be there. When asking about Oliver's voice acting role in The Lion King, he reacted to Fallon in a funny but underhanded way, stating that now that he's an actor, Fallon will have to start treating him with some respect. The penny dropped, however, when Fallon complimented Oliver by saying that he liked the name of his talk show Last Week Tonight, which Oliver claimed to be a very weak compliment. You know, the type of compliment you say when you have nothing else to say but need to fill the time gap on your show. Then, using the compliment as a backdrop, he informed Fallon that his show was a lot more hard-hitting than The Tonight Show, where real questions were always asked. It's no secret that Fallon plays up to his guests, leaving the hard-hitting questions to investigative journalists. But since this gets his guests to open up, I think the style has its own merit. In fact, this insulting behavior from Oliver is far from fair considering that their talk shows aren't supposed to be the same. Where Oliver is more of an investigative journalist and comedian, Fallon is more of an entertainer, with his show being used as a platform for marketing. Either way, this was embarrassing for Fallon, who had to bite his tongue like the professional he is. Next is the walk-off of Christie. For those of you who don't pay much attention to politics, Christie was the former New Jersey governor who decided to run for the Republican presidential nomination back in 2016, ultimately losing to Donald Trump. Christie is known for his overweight appearance, which often takes preference in his criticism rather than his actual political stances. When appearing on The Tonight Show in 2015, Christie informed Fallon that he was once driving on a boat alongside Mitt Romney and Marco Rubio, where the group suddenly decided to stop at the dock and get some ice cream. He described that he was all right with that decision, so they ended up docking. It was at this point that Fallon interrupted Christie, taking a dig at the politician's weight. He said, "First of all, you weren't like, all right, you were like, yeah, woohoo!" At first, Christie didn't know what to say or do, but then decides to get up from the couch, saying, "Good night, everybody." Taken quite aback, Fallon tries to laugh the awkwardness off, begging Christie to come sit back down and continue his story. He does return, but leaves Jimmy with a lasting insult that causes him to calm down and not refer to the politician's weight anymore. With an air of sternness, Christie says, "If I ever leave public life, you're gonna have to hire 2 writers to replace the garbage that you say about me." Next up is the late, great Dan Rickles. You'd be excused if you didn't know who Dan Rickles is, as he was a bit before our generation. That being said, the man is known to have been one of the greatest insult comedians of his time, giving late-night hosts trouble ever since his first appearance. It goes without saying that being insulted by the late and great Rickles is considered in the entertainment industry to be a real badge of honor, a badge that Jimmy Fallon received on his very own show. When appearing on The Tonight Show, Rickles commented on the size of the studio audience, saying that he expected it to be much larger than 12 people. He also informed Fallon that he had never actually liked him and still believes he faked his broken finger for sympathy. Lastly, Rickles criticized the host for spending too much time crying over the state of the talk show. That's quite a lot for Jimmy to take in, but he took it in stride, laughing off the comedian's insults and providing us with some good entertainment. Finally, Rickles informs Jimmy that in all honesty, the show is a hit and he should be proud of it. But this probably won't last long. Next up is Demi Lovato. The singer and songwriter is a frequent guest on The Tonight Show, and on one occasion gave Jimmy a personalized sweatshirt with both their faces on it and the letters J+D equals BFF forever, commemorating their friendship. This was a sweet gesture, but placed Jimmy in the spotlight, saying he'd give her a gift the next time she appeared on the show. The next time Lovato appeared, Fallon mentioned that he was aware of how much she loves to eat pickles, so he followed this up by saying that he, surprisingly, also loves to make pickles at home. With a proud smile, he took out a beautifully wrapped batch of freshly made pickles that he had labeled Love. He also shared some pictures of himself making the pickles at home as proof, from which you can see that the process is very time-consuming. Lovato's reaction to the gesture was crappy at best, which must have hurt, considering how much effort Fallon had put into the gift. You can see the look of disappointment on Fallon's face, which leads Lovato to try and save the situation, but with no success. Poor Jimmy. I hate pickles, but even I would have chosen them rather than that sweatshirt. And there you have it. Those are some of the times that celebrities insulted Jimmy Fallon on The Tonight Show. What do you think of Jimmy? Does he deserve the flack that he gets for being so likable? It wouldn't be easy being one of the most watched, but also most criticized talk shows on the planet, would it? Anyway, thanks for watching the video.